In this lesson, we will talk about how to use R to generate documents such as reports or presentations. We will use R Markdown, which allows you to include formatted text, R commands, as well as R output. Let's jump into R and get started. In R, we select File, then New File, and then R Markdown. At this point, we need to give our project a name, author, and date. Some of these may be already filled in. I'm going to select HTML as the default output. You can select PDF or Word, but these require you to have special programs installed. HTML is generally the most flexible to work with. Also, we can change this at any point later. I'm going to enter R Markdown Demo as the title. Now, you'll see that we essentially have a script here, which already contains a lot of stuff. Look at the top, where the title, author, date, and output are. These are the parameters of the document. For the most part, we'll just leave these as they are. Anything below this can be deleted as we work on our new R Markdown document. Let me draw your attention to the knit icon. When we click this, it will take all of the comments, commands, and output and knit them into a new HTML document. Let's give this a try. Now, the first time that we try to knit, it's going to ask us to give the R Markdown file a name. Again, I'll just call this R Markdown Demo. Now we are looking at the HTML document. By default, it opens it in an R viewer, but we can easily open this in a browser. I'll share with you that I've found that the easiest way to copy graphs is to knit to an HTML document, open it in a browser, and then just right-click on the image and either copy it and paste it into another application or just save the image for later use. Okay, now let's get back into R. I'm going to delete everything below the R Markdown parameters. Let's talk about entering text and some basic formatting. I'll start by just typing, "This is an example document." Now, let's knit it. We can see the text that we just entered. If we want to label something with a level 1 heading, we precede it with a hashtag. A level 2 heading requires 2 hashtags, and a level 3 heading requires 3 hashtags. Let's take a look. Suppose that I want to italicize a statement. To do so, we surround the statement with asterisks. To bold a statement, we surround it with double asterisks. Let's take a look at the knitted document. Now, any of the formats that we've seen so far can be combined. For example, we can have an italicized and bolded statement, or we can have a bolded level 1 heading, or we can have an italicized level 3 heading. There are occasions on which we may wish to include a website in our document. I'm going to include a link to barrymonk.com with the display text, "Click here for a really cool site." Let's knit it and give this a try. Okay, so we've seen how to enter comments and links and how to do some basic formatting. Now let's talk about entering R commands. To enter R commands, we first have to create what's called a code chunk. We do this by clicking on the Insert Code icon. You can see here that we've created a code chunk with a beginning and an ending. What we do is insert our R commands between these. Suppose, for example, that we create 2 variables that represent grades in 2 different classes. We have English.grades, which is comprised of the data values 95, 82, 85, and 88, and Math.grades, which is comprised of the data values 100, 80, 90, and 92. Let's see the knitted document. Here we can see that the variables are defined. R Markdown puts all R commands inside of a container. Output will also be in a separate container. We can see this if we create a separate code chunk in our script that calls the grade variables that we just created. Suppose now that we do some simple analysis. For example, let's compare the means of the English grades and the math grades. In our script, I'm going to create a level 1 bolded header that labels this as comparing the means. Next, we enter the mean commands in the script inside of a code chunk. And then knit the document. Now there are some options that we may want to include in our code chunks in various situations. In the curly brackets R statement at the beginning of the code chunk, we can include any of the following. Echo equals false. What this does is that it hides the code but runs it and produces all output. Eval equals false. This shows the code but does not run it. Include equals false. This runs the code but does not show the output. We'll get into more graphs in upcoming lessons, but let's do a simple one. We'll use the plot English grades, math grades command to create a scatterplot. I'm going to put this into a code chunk, but I just want it to show the output, not the R command. To do this, I'll include the echo equals false option. Okay, let's knit the document to see what we've got. Notice how we have the plot output, but the R command does not show. And there is one more option that may be useful. This one creates a caption for figures. To create a figure caption, we include in the opening code chunk statement fig.cap equals, and then we have a text string surrounded by quotes. For example, let's redo our scatterplot, but now let's include a figure caption that reads Figure 8.1. This figure shows the relationship between English exam grades and math exam grades. We can see that there is a positive correlation between these. Okay, so that's it for this lesson. Now you'll be asked to complete some assignments where you have to submit a document created with R Markdown. Now is the time to get comfortable using it. Best of luck as you move forward